This episode of Distraction is sponsored by Omega Bright CBD, formulated by Omega Bright Wellness, creators of the #1 omega-3 supplements for the past 20 years. Omega Bright CBD, safe, third-party tested, and it works. Shop online at omegabrightwellness.com. Hello, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell with a mini episode of Distraction. I don't know about you all, but I'm getting pretty tired of the coronavirus. I think we all are. I mean, aside from the tragedy that it's created, it's just been hard to live with, even for those of us who aren't sick. It's really dealt a body blow to the routines of everyday life. So I thought I'd give you a few suggestions on how to deal with the emotional impact of what we're living through. And aside from Zoom fatigue, which is an actually recognized syndrome now, being on Zoom is more tiring than face-to-face interaction. I have some other terms for what we're living through. I call it COVID collapse, or mask misery, or we get into quarantine quarreling. I've seen quite a bit of that at my house. We have dismal distancing. I'm so tired of keeping 6 feet away from people, but I know I'm supposed to, and so I do it. And we have the stay-at-home blahs, just the feeling of, remember restaurants, remember movie theaters, remember sporting events, remember all that we used to be able to do? We can't do it anymore. And we get to develop the stay-at-home blahs. You know, we love each other, but golly, there's only so much excitement we can generate. So I wanted to give you a few little ways that I've been delighting myself or trying to. It's all in line of my basic idea that one of the greatest talents in life you can have is the talent for specializing. That means making something, anything special, be it an event, a person, a trinket. And the master of it all that I learned it from was my grandmother, Gammy. And she could make anything special. She could make the most ordinary rainy day into a canasta tournament, or she could take an ordinary hard-boiled egg and peeling it into the search for the golden yolk. She could take anything and turn it into something special. And that's sort of what we need to do now. It's the challenge to our imagination. What can you do with the bones that we've got, with the sticks we've got, to make each day a little bit special, to beat the stay-at-home blahs? So my daughter gave me an idea. You know, we have a backyard and we can't afford a swimming pool, but she said, "Dad, why don't we get a blow-up pool?" And I said, "Well, those are for toddlers, aren't they?" And she said, "No, they have bigger ones." So we looked it up and did, the Google, the Amazon, the entering in blow-it-up pools, and sure enough, we found one that's big enough to fit in a corner of our yard, and it's got several layers so it won't break, and it only costs $300 with free delivery. So not that $300 is nothing, but, the big above-ground pools can cost upwards of $10,000. And, of course, the real pools are $30,000, $40,000. So the blow-up pool we ordered. And then my daughter, again, she's working at home, and she texted me saying, "Why don't we grill a pizza tomorrow night? We'll make one with cauliflower crust and the rest that you guys like to eat. So we're going to grill a pizza." There's an idea. Every night now, we've been having movie night, and the challenge, of course, is there's 4 of us living together, my 2 grown kids and my wife, Sue, to agree on a movie. And the ladies like chick flicks, and my son and I go for more action, drama kind of stuff, but we work it out. I've been pouring through the recipes. You go to Google, and there's all recipes in Southern living, some wonderful slow cooker recipes. I love those because you put it in and go away and do your day and come back. And then one of the recipes I found, I can't wait to make this weekend, homemade hamburger buns. Can you believe that? Homemade hamburger buns. And you don't have to be an advanced baker. I looked at the recipe. It's straightforward. Yes, you have to use yeast, which I never use, but it looks like I could do it. And there's some waiting time while it rises and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to give it a shot. And if I can make homemade hamburger buns, sesame seeds on top. Well, those are just several ways of specializing this situation, which can bring on the blahs. Now, of course, I have no right to complain. We're not sick. We're not in a nursing home. These, I guess, sound very self-indulgent to talk about it. But I think most of us, it's like having a low-grade cold or a low-grade fever or there's a great term, failure to thrive. We don't want to let this keep us from thriving. We don't want to let this keep us from taking delight in life. I mean, gosh, it's really good to be alive. But, it can seem pretty challenging when you're walking around with a mask and when you're, hearing the dismal news that comes out every day, the latest death toll, the latest people who've tested positive. So try to, avoid the worst thing, which is to feel isolated and lonely. Stay connected, which is always my advice. And try your hand at the art of specializing. Find something that can specialize each day so it doesn't feel blah. Before I go, I do need to thank our sponsor. Otherwise, we couldn't be on the air. Our wonderful sponsor, Omega Bright CBD. It's formulated by Dr. Carol Locke of Harvard Medical School and her company, Omega Bright Wellness. I myself have been taking their CBD supplement for about 2 months now, and I highly recommend it. It helps me with my irritability. I can be pretty grumpy. Omega Bright CBD is safe, third-party tested, and best of all, it works. Get Omega Bright CBD online at omegabrightwellness.com. That's OMEGABRITE wellness.com. Well, okay, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell with a mini episode of Distraction. Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. The podcast is recorded and mixed by the wonderful Pat Keogh, and our producer is the equally, if not more wonderful, Sarah Guertin. The episode of Distraction you just heard was sponsored by Omega Bright CBD, formulated by Omega Bright Wellness, creators of the #1 omega-3 supplements for the past 20 years. Omega Bright CBD, safe, third-party tested, and it works. Shop online at omegabrightwellness.com.